Hello and welcome to today's live webinar on the future of digital marketing and how developments are going to shape business in the coming 12 to 18 months. Of course, today's discussion is the second in the series and is all part of the Victorian Government Small Business Festival, which is on right the way through the month until right to the very end of the month. So check it out, go online, see what's available, some of the events that are planned. Get out there, do some networking and also learn. And of course, the reason we're here is to answer your questions about the next big opportunities in digital marketing and offer some advice on how business can get on board to gain a competitive advantage. So if you have a question, we've had plenty sent through to us on email over the last couple of days, but if you want to send one right now, you can do it. We'll do our best to answer it. Just go to questions@kbbdigital.com.au. All right, time to meet the panel for today, and joining us is Digital Marketing Specialist and Managing Director of KBB Digital, Dave Chaffey. Dave, good to see you again. Sharon Williams, Founder and Chief Executive of Taurus Marketing. Sharon, hi to you. And Tom Griffith from Emma & Tom's, the beverage conglomerate taking over the world, Tom.
We are, David.
Well done. It's fabulous. A warm welcome to you all. Let's get the ball rolling, and to do that, I want to ask the panel first up to polish their crystal ball so that we can gaze into the future of digital marketing. And first up, Dave, what new technology are you excited about in the future?
Well, I'm excited about a lot of things, but technology isn't so much the thing we're getting excited. It's what it's allowing people to do. And one of the big things, one of the big trends which is out there at the moment is this sort of marketplaces is opening up to globalisation. We have places like Freelancer and Airtasker and Fiverr are examples of marketplaces that got in early and started to open up sort of channels for people to get work done from anywhere in the world. And it's opening up a lot of opportunities for business, both in terms of having work done for you, but in terms of actually outsourcing or putting your work out there to others as well. I think there's a lot of opportunity there. And
I suppose that goes all the way down to small business using platforms like Tibao and Tmall to export into China. It's all about platforms these days.
It very much is.
Understanding.
Well, you know, when you think about it, we had for so long trying to open up these relationships always boiled down to I have to talk to that person who talks to that person who talks to that person, or we have to go to a trade show and hopefully bump into the right people. But now we're just sitting here with these international platforms where anyone can come in, and as long as you can mix and match, you know, there are opportunities everywhere.
Yeah. Sharon, social media, where will it be in 12 months?
I think social media is benefiting from technology at the moment, particularly with automated intelligence, AI. You may have heard of this, and what it's doing for us as business owners is it's opening up the opportunities to get things much cheaper and easier than we used to. So social media is now linking into automated intelligence on e-marketplaces, on globalization, and so we're able to do things quicker, cheaper and better.
Right. It's interesting. I was in a fascinating discussion this morning with an organisation in the financial industry where you log into it through Facebook, and because of that, their algorithm, their artificial intelligence, automated intelligence, goes through their customers' Facebook and sees the type of people they connect with, their interests, their hobbies. They can tell whether a Port Adelaide customer is a better payer of their bills than a Collingwood customer. Of course, that goes without saying. But and all that sort of stuff. And I was sitting there thinking, wow, so you're profiling your customer through just all their social media and who they interact with, and they cross-check it. It's amazing. Tom, big opportunities that you see in the next 6 to 12 months?
We're finding as a business that access to technology is now so much cheaper than it would have been, say, 10 years ago, that it's really broken down the barriers to entry for almost everyone. And now a small business can behave really like a multinational.
Yeah.
And as long as the product is better or the service is more efficient or more streamlined. And of course, technology also just knocks out your costs. Where we've automated half of our finance function, which is once again taking just one head count out of that room. So across the board, there's just massive efficiencies coming out of the technology.
And I suppose it boils down to the business owner to open themselves up to that, doesn't it? You as the business owner have got to go, right, I'm going to be on the lookout for technology that's going to allow me to re-engineer parts of my business. And it starts with you, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we're constantly more concerned about what we don't know.
Yeah.
So we're out there seeking advice and talking to people
Yeah.
to get our heads around what's going on now.
Yeah.
Because it changes so fast.
Yeah, exactly. And you've got to be on it and do it quickly, because you can bet your bottom dollar your competitors are doing it, so you've got to keep up too. All right, let's get into some questions and answers that you've been sending through. Don't forget that email if you want to send one through now, questions@kbbdigital.com.au. Now, Jess from New South Wales is a PR student. She says, I'm interested in hearing from Sharon about her take on the future of PR. I'm reading that digital PR is heading in all sorts of directions, and I'd like to know what Sharon's take is on that.
Oh, Jess, how exciting that you're learning PR. Well, I've been doing PR now for about 20 years, and it's changed lots. And the most exciting thing is that every year we get a new tool to play with to communicate all our messages to. So when I started out, gosh, we had the fax machine, and now we've got apps, and we've got Snapchat. We PR on Snapchat now. It's so exciting. So just watch this space, because when you're at university, you're studying things, and we're changing every week. So webinars like this are the great place to see. But make sure that with PR, you're always thinking back to basics, which is where should your message be spread? And sometimes today it might be influencers, sometimes it might be all the traditional tools that you're learning, but it's changing and it's very exciting, which is why I love my job.
Yeah, and as technology changes, that's the role of a PR specialist to determine how it fits into a public relations or marketing strategy, isn't it? Because, you know, social media, even the different platforms for social media achieve different things and are more suited to different messages, aren't
Yeah, so maybe we can talk about channels to market rather than, I think technology frightens people, and although I'm actually in tech PR, so tech doesn't frighten me, but look at the different channels of where you're going to get to your customers best.
Yeah.
And then think of them as a journey and as a highway to those, and get there as quickly as you can.
Yep. Okay. All right, Jess. Hopefully that is useful. Ben from Victoria says there's been a lot of talk on the future of technology, but how does this translate to small business? And I think Tom touched on that a little earlier. But Dave, what's your...
Yeah, I always think of it two ways. I look at it as you've got the immediate opportunity and you've got the long-term opportunity. And when I give talks to groups, I often say, look, if you're ahead of technology, if you can find a technology that offers a competitive advantage, you don't have to be the first person in Australia or Victoria to find it. You just have to be ahead of your competitors.
Yep.
And if you find that technology, you know, the people who found websites before everyone else had websites, they got some advantage. And there was a big, long period where people were sort of saying, no, you don't need websites at all. And these people were actually pulling in clients. They stayed ahead. That's the first opportunity, the right here and now. But with every technology, there's always going to be people who become millionaires out of technology. Yeah. There's always the people who make a stack of money by creating the technology, but the people who really win are the people who adapt technology for an industry.
Yeah.
Classic example is the people who invented YouTube. You know, they make a mozza, but then a group came through and said, how do we adapt this for our audience? And they created GodTube, two guys, for Christians, YouTube for Christians, and they sold it for $500 million 7 months later, just by saying, that's a new technology, how can I adapt it? So all the entrepreneurs out there should be sitting there going, well, that's Snapchat. Yeah. How can that work in my industry, and how can I work with someone to create that? There's huge opportunities with that too, but that's the entrepreneurs out there.
But Tom, to follow up on your point, it is a matter of how technology comes in all different shapes and sizes. It can be upgrading from old tech to new tech for more efficiencies, isn't it? Laptops, your systems internally. It can be as simple as making sure you're on cloud accounting, you know, your Xero or MYOB to do the cloud version, so you can access it anywhere, anytime, and you get your dashboard. It's a little bit. You don't have to be fancy to make technology work for you, do it?
No, you don't need to ship in a whole lot of experts and pay them a whole lot of money. Most of these things are sort of, you know, plug and play.
Yep.
We, as you said, we've migrated from a offline software for accounting, which was very, very onerous and slow. We're now in the cloud. We're using NetSuite, And the thing about using a system like NetSuite is, if you've got a question, it's already been answered. There's 700,000 users in the world, so every issue and problem has been addressed. It's just good to go.
And NetSuite are great. Sage is good. MYOB.
That's right.
Xero. Just upgrade to that. You'll be stunned the difference it makes to your business.
Have you had any challenges with adapting, changing from one technology to the other, bringing staff along for the journey?
Look, we have a very, I suppose, entrepreneurial environment. So it didn't require a lot of change management in our team to adapt. They all just took it on. We had some a bit of outside sort of guidance, and it's about using it, getting into it and using it. And I was a big user of Sage in the UK, and it's really easy to use. It's a great system. So and once again, it's cheap. We run a fleet software which is basically tracks our vans. So we know where people are, who they're seeing. It optimises the runs. So we burn less diesel. All those little things help.
It's a good thing for small business, isn't it? But when you think about it, go back 5 years ago and you wanted to buy that accounting package and you had to pay $800 and you were hoping it was the right one, and now you've got the free trial for 30 days and now sign up for $20 a month, and if you like it, get the dear one. It has cut down those barriers.
But using technology to cut traditional costs shouldn't be overlooked in all of this. A lot of people say new technology, I'll leave it up to the youngsters. I'm not interested. It's all about social media. It's not. It's about these sorts of things of cutting traditional costs by this app almost is Google Maps for your trucks, is it? I'm saying this is the best way to get here.
And we use Expensify, which just deals with all the expenses and allocates them, so someone isn't there sort of typing in taxi invoices, receipts. It's there's no need to do that, and you don't need to be tied to the office the entire time.
And have more time on the weekend. Ray from Warrnambool has sent in this question. Afternoon to you, Ray. Does the panel have an opinion on QR codes? A few years ago, they were going to be the next big thing, but I haven't heard a lot about it since. Now, they're the, for people who don't know, sort of mosaic, don't you, that you take a picture of on your smartphone, Dave?
They're like a sort of a 3D barcode, aren't they?
Yeah,
and the whole concept.
That's a better explanation.
The whole concept of them, and I reckon I was one of those people about 3 years ago who stood up and said, this is going to be the next big thing, so maybe don't listen to me with too much vigour. But the whole concept was that they were going to link the print world to the digital world, in as much as you could be looking through a catalogue and you would see the QR code there, and you'd get your phone out and take a picture, and it would pop up with a video about whatever that catalogue. The concept was great, but it just seems as though that just went past, and we're all past the catalogue stage, and I don't think it's going to take off now. So I hope you haven't got shares, Ray, in any QR code companies or the like. So with apologies to any QR code companies out there right now.
But Tom, in the packaged goods area, they used to start them too, didn't it? Where it would take you to the video of the process of...
My view, no one uses them.
Right.
So we don't use them on our packaging, and we think people just go to these days just go straight to the Instagram or the website.
Yeah. That's way more powerful. Classic case of a technology. I was going to say like beta videos, but not quite like that. But it's a technology that had its time in the light, and then just the tsunami of new technology coming through just swamped it. All right, let's go to, I can't see, who's the, Andrew P from Mildura. Stayed at the Deakin Caravan Park in Mildura last year. Beautiful caravan park with a bakery next to it. Andrew says, I just want to get rich. So I have to ask, should I buy Bitcoin? You know, Andrew, you're about the fourth person in the last 2 days that has asked me about these crypto sort of currencies. I'm an old-fashioned conservative investor. It's more of an investor sort of question. And I may be proved wrong, absolutely, but I think it's an incredibly volatile market, and I'm not a huge fan. Get your own independent advice. I'm not a huge fan. Anyone else have an opinion on Bitcoins?
I think if you had an allocation of risk in your portfolio and you decided to have a little play with a very immaterial proportion, have a little play.
Sort of your TAB money.
Yeah.
Money that you'd put on the horses. Put a bit on that.
The technology is solid, and there's going to be some great things come out of it. But this is a big bubble over here that people
Yeah.
are just, I'll have a crack at it, I won't have a crack at it.
Yeah.
It's a bubble.
Yeah.
I find it hard to figure out how they value it.
Well, I've had an alternative currency shop open up in my high street where I live.
Wow.
It's not far from the TAB. So
Could be it.
but it's another alternative.
Now, Jonathan from Melbourne says, next year I'm looking to build my personal profile in business and political circles. What are some of the best avenues? Sharon.
Oh, well, personal branding is my big thing.
Yep.
And I think what you've got to do with all of business and as a business owner is work out why. What is it and why you're going to do that. So you've said you want to do it, but what's the outcome? Write down the outcome and then work backwards from the way you want to do that best. So if you're moving into political circles, then is it because you want to influence, because you want to run? But personal branding, you're captain of your personal brand, whether you like it or not. So whether it's going to be a big presence or a small presence, you've got to run your personal brand with purpose.
Yeah. How do you do it, Tom?
I'd say, I mean, everyone's got a brand. We all have our personal brand, whether you have a drinks business or a television show or you're a carpenter. I mean, be known as being the very best hairdresser in the suburb or the town. And I think it's about quality of product. I think being published, being an authority in whatever avenue you're involved in is highly important. And, you know, let's not forget social. Everyone's on it.
Yep. Yep.
Digital resume.
Yeah.
Yep. Sharon, I've definitely got a question here because, you know, personal profile, professional profile. How do you separate your professional and personal with so many social channels and so many spots that you pop up here and there these days?
Yeah, I think it's about choosing what's right for you, because determining your personal brand is about being you with purpose, not being something that you're not. So if you're private and discreet, then stay that way. For example, you know, we make choices about whether we want to put things about families online and children and what we're doing personally. But professionally, people buy people. So I think we have to be sure that people engaging with us know what it is they're going to get.
You know, LinkedIn, having a LinkedIn strategy or putting opinions or information out is great for your professional brand, probably the best platform. It's been explained to me that Twitter is, if you want to give an opinion and sort of get a bit angry and cranky. Facebook is being personal, and Instagram is being aspirational, and sort of manage your content like that. I have a couple of rules for myself. Is that you always be grateful, you always be positive, and you never whinge about anything, because it's just, I think, a bad look. No one wants to see whinges, and
you don't post anything after the fourth glass of red.
Never. Or after midnight. Donald Trump is a classic. If you want to know how not to do it, here's the leader of the free world doing foreign policy in 149 characters or less, and he will tweet after midnight the stupidest things, and you go, mate, you're a classic case on how to destroy your brand through social media. Hopefully that helps. Now, Rob has sent a question saying, I'd really appreciate some advice on the best hashtags to use on my Instagram, as I'd like to build engagement levels. Our business manufactures natural body and hand washes sold throughout Woolworths and Coles. That's a good question. I have a niece who uses 25 hashtags. I think that's way too much. Every hashtag. And I have a very smart colleague who always looks at what's trending in terms of hashtags and then put something up that sort of loosely relates that, and the hashtag's the trend.
Yeah, that's the key.
Is it?
That's what you want to do. You want to be relevant within the target audiences, the people who are going to buy. So do you know what a great thing to do is? We call it a topic bubble.
Right.
And we start with some circles and we fill in a word that is related to your products and the people that might buy them. It might be skin rashes, it might be lavender, it might be rose, it might be bubbles, it might be... And then what you can do is link in and watch the conversations and what's trending and link those to that. So it's all about extending your social media and your conversations and your spheres of influence.
Okay.
So your friend is very clever.
Oh, okay. Tom, how do you do it?
We try and be consistent. We have our strap line of look after yourself.
Right.
So, which we sort of feel that we own, and so we apply that wherever we can to the issue.
Right.
Obviously, generally it's a well-being
Right.
issue because we consider ourselves to be a well-being brand.
Right.
So we make sure that we are always consistent.
Yep. Yeah.
Otherwise, you get too broad and you lose the story.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nice.
Okay. Give us an update on the range of products that you have now. Where has Emma and Tom travelled to in terms of the range?
We've extended from fruit juice into milk late last year. So
Right.
we now have a range of no added sugar flavoured milks.
Right.
So obviously the traditional flavoured milks was like having a soft drink.
Yep.
It was about 10 to 12 grams of sugar per 100 mils. Normal plain milk has 5 grams being lactose.
Yep.
Ours is the same.
Ah.
And now, so not just for children, but even adults now see milk as being the ideal recovery drink.
Right.
Because of its protein-carbohydrate ratio. So we're trying to sort of take milk out and back to where it should be, being a cornerstone part of people's diets.
Right. Okay. And you're exporting to China now too?
China started this year. We're sending quite a few loads to China now on a weekly basis, mainly to Shanghai. We've
Yeah.
just decided to launch in Shanghai and start there and, I suppose, understand that market and do that super well. It's big
Yeah.
enough.
Oh,
1.8 trillion GDP.
For Shanghai?
Alone, Australia's about 1.4.
So Shanghai as a city has a bigger GDP than Australia does in total?
Correct.
Yeah.
And as you know, I was told recently by one of our Chinese colleagues, he sort of said in jest, China wants to buy Australia. And they want the lot.
You sure he was
He
laughing?
was in jest. No. Just our Gippsland milk.
Yeah, okay. All right, now Ben has, I think we've done Ben's question. This one from Carl in New South Wales. I read that Facebook has reached its peak and will start declining in popularity. What new platforms or pieces of technology do you think will take over from Facebook? Of course, Facebook owns Instagram, so they're differentiating between the two, and they're also pinching bits from YouTube as well. They got a sort of YouTube equivalent, a Snapchat equivalent, that sort of thing.
I think be careful about worrying too much about the future. I think deal with your business today and where the spread is on social media today. So look at how Facebook interacts with your business, and if it looks like it's working, then you can run that out and I would work on a 90-day basis. So we were laughing about Excel spreadsheets last time, and we work always on Excel spreadsheets on 90-day plans and evaluate every 90 days the return on investment. So I don't think you need to worry about Facebook just yet.
Yeah. And the market's changing as well, isn't it? Because I read, I think I mentioned it last week, go to Deloitte, the business advisors, go to their website. They've just done the latest how consumers use social media and media. It's a really fascinating read, and is showing that Facebook's audience is getting older. The younger crowd, probably because their parents and grandparents are getting on Facebook, are actually sort of gone somewhere else, or opening another account, just putting nice things that granny and mum can see. But Instagram has been going up.
And Snapchat.
And Snapchat as well. And what they call, which I thought sounded a bit sinister, dark networks. Now, these are your WhatsApp sort of networks that apparently the future for business is to develop your own closed network and start your own WhatsApp chat session just for customers. And that is starting to pick up as a use for small business too, to keep your customers close and you all talk to each other and use it almost as the new online forum, if you like. All right, another question that's come in. Don't forget, if you want to email a question in now, you've been emailing in the last couple of days, but if you're watching right now, it's not too late to send one in. questions@kbbdigital.com.au. This question from Victoria. Sharon mentioned in last week's seminar that automation is a great way of saving money. Can we have a bit more information on how this works, as I have quite the expensive sales team?
Gorgeous.
Well,
if your expensive sales team is delivering for you, then keep it. So there's nothing wrong with expensive sales teams if they're returning an investment.
Yep.
So we're not out to bash salespeople, but what we can do now is give our salespeople a whole load of extra tools. Yep. So we can be so much more clever with what we're doing. I had a presentation from LinkedIn yesterday, and the sales division of LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is divided into 3 or 4 different divisions, recruitment and marketing, sales, the sales tool that LinkedIn can provide you with, combine that with your sales team, and you can be much more effective. So what we want as business owners always is to evaluate what will give us more bang for buck. We want to do things faster and at greater profit, so and more relevant. So I would suggest that you review automated intelligence and the opportunity to link connections, which are things like LinkedIn does, like social media does, so that your sales guys are using the latest tools.
Okay, is that what you do, Tom? That sort of, it's not about replacing salespeople, it's about making them more effective and more efficient, making sure they have the best tools?
Yes, totally. I mean, it's all about sales. So you can look at a salesperson's performance purely on their numbers.
Yeah.
So you need to have great information that's timely. So which once again, we're in the cloud. So if somebody sells $100 worth of orange juice in Bondi, I can see it appear on the screen at that moment.
Right.
Also, we have fleet tracking software, once again, so we know where people are.
Yep.
So once again, it's about information and giving them. We try and give our sales team, we have about 45 vans now on the road, all the tools that they need to do a great job.
Right.
So they feel supported because their salespeople are motivated by money.
Yep.
They're hungry.
Yep.
So if they have the platform to operate from, they do a great job.
Yep. So get to a customer quicker, have the tools to know about them better so you can make the sales quicker and move on.
That's right. We try and make our customers' life as easy as possible.
Right.
So it's one less phone call they make each week or one less decision that they make.
Yep.
So we try and back up a superior product with a superior service.
Yep. Perfect.
I'll take you through the automation for the B2B side. Very interesting the way that that's developed. B2B, I read somewhere just recently, it's described that managing directors, CEOs are usually about 60 to 65% of the way through the purchase cycle before they pick up the phone to talk to someone. Amazing sort of statistic. It was always much less than that. They're a long way through the purchase cycle before they actually contact you. So one of the ways that automation's working here is we're trying to get out there with content to capture these people when they're at their first stages of looking at a product, or how does that work? What is it? So we're putting content out there, trying to get a person to come along and give an email address, and then automation is actually pushing content out to these people that's educating along the way, so that a year later when they're at that 65%, we've been that guiding light the whole way along. And that's automation. So when people actually download something, it triggers and says, right, they want more in this direction, and if they don't download it, we head them in this direction. And this is just sending content through to give more value and more educational, to keep them in that sort of purchase stage.
And keep you top of mind as well,
very much so.
and as a thought leader as part of that decision process.
Yeah, and I think that's where that sort of that sales question sort of leads, is if you look 10 years ago or maybe 20 years ago, that managing director picking up the phone and going, I've read about you guys in the yellow pages, I need to know how this works. The managing director knows how it works now. He wants to know why you're better than the competitor.
And then you loop back into social.
Yeah, very much so.
Because, as you know, there's never been a car bought in the entirety of their existence that was done by a rational decision. It's all emotion. So once again, we're now trying to be on Instagram and Facebook, because there's a good chance now with 5,000 outlets in Australia, you'll walk past our fridge once a week or sometime, and you should then be thinking to yourself, I feel good about my decision to buy the Emma and Tom's because I'm looking after myself. That's been embedded by the programming for the last 12 months.
Yeah.
And can I encourage you to link marketing spend with sales return? So you always want to be able to analyse what your return is on your investment.
Yeah, good point. Carla has just sent in a email question. Carla's in bookkeeping. I believe that there is already a bot called a Lyra that provides legal advice. How will AI impact advisory services as a whole? For example, taxation advice.
That's playing with fire, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Yep.
You know, like the bots, the technology running bots seems to be
Hang
getting...
on, now explain what a bot is.
Yes, good point. A bot is simply a bit of software which is mimicking a person, like Siri on Apple phones, but can answer your questions. And artificial intelligence is basically teaching the bot. The more questions they answer and the more times they get told that was the right answer, it's sort of steering them to a much tighter way of answering questions. And basically over time, a little bit of software learns how to answer questions. Great.
Okay.
But there's a lot of learning between here and between here.
Yeah.
And taxation advice would have to be a very dangerous pathway.
Because if your bot stuffs it up, you can't say to the tax office, well, this bot told me to do it.
So Sandra, use it and then go to the next, check it with your usual sources. But I mean, I'm working with AI at the moment from aircraft maintenance.
Right.
Think of that. Wow. All the way through to search and search engine optimization. So AI is now from searching fraud on wealth and finance in corporates. So AI is now becoming sort of mainstream in my conversations with businesses out there, which is really interesting.
Amazing.
Okay. Now, Sandra from New South Wales says, I'm keen on staying ahead of what's going on. I'm interested in what blogs and websites the panels follow for staying ahead and which ones I should read. That is a really terrific question. I like that. Tom, what do you follow? Do you follow any?
I try to be very broadly read. I love reading and I love information.
Yeah.
So I sort of try to mine the internet, obviously, and seek out answers to questions. I mean, we get a lot of innovation off the internet.
Yeah.
My designer would say there's no new ideas. So just once again, better ones, or once again, people perhaps have ideas but don't bring them to market.
Right.
So as you were saying earlier, it's about actually taking the concept and commercialising it.
Right.
So at one point you've got to stop reading and researching and start doing.
Yep.
I think that's great advice. Kochie's, of course. Where else should they be
Oh,
looking?
yeah. No. All right, I'm reading a great book at the moment called Thank You for Pausing. Thomas Friedman's new book. Thomas Friedman wrote, I think, the Bible of disruption and change called The Lexus and the Olive Tree years ago. Then wrote one called The World is Flat. He's a top professor, isn't he? An opinion writer for the New York Times.
From Barrow to Jerusalem.
Yeah, a great book as well. And this is the whole reason for this book is that technology is sweeping us up, but there is a time where you just stop and pause and assess and see what's going on. And it's a fascinating read. I love. So it's a good one. Also on LinkedIn, as a good example for chief executives and business owners, the chairman of Daimler-Benz has a great strategy on LinkedIn. It's very approachable. It's very informative. He'll write a blog on, I had lunch with Kiki Rosberg, and these are the 5 things I really learnt from him that I'm taking on board in my business. Or I just went to South by Southwest in America, and these are the 5 trends that really blew me away. You know, that sort of stuff. I love reading
there's
that.
some great ones.
There's a lot of value in, don't underplay YouTube here, there's a lot of value in typing in things to YouTube like trends in marketing for accountants or whatever, because there are people out there who are pitching to all these verticals, and they're doing these YouTube clips, they're showing software and they're saying this is how you use it. Great stuff out there.
TEDx.
TEDx is a great one. I enjoy TEDx.
Yep. TEDx, you can download the TEDx app and you get access to all their presentations around the world, which is just, it broadens your mind, doesn't it? It makes you think outside the square. Josh, this is a big question. Josh, will Google still be around in 5 years?
Alphabet,
yeah. The parent company's Alphabet. It's in the top 5 most valuable companies in America at the moment, valued at it in Alphabet. Read a book called The Circle by Dave Eggers. It's a great book. It's now being turned into a movie with Tom Hanks, and it's about a company that is Google, Facebook and Twitter all combined, and how it moves to control your
I was going to say it will control your fridge. Don't open the fridge in 5 years' time.
Controls everything. It's a great book on social media and our behaviour, how it's got a bit out of control, and how to bring it back to the centre. It's really
we'll be Googling on our little panel on our wrists in 5 years' time, okay? It's not that far away.
Google will still be around.
It'll still be around. It'll be different. It'll definitely be different. What's happening at the moment is Google's trying to jockey into the Facebook space.
Yep.
And it's also trying to jockey into where Apple is with phones.
Yep.
Facebook's trying to get into Google. I think. I think
that's why the circle.
It'll be more Google, will be more Facebook. Facebook will be more Google, and Apple will be sitting here waving, wondering what's going on.
But then there'll probably be a big China, Tencent or Alibaba that's going to move in and could take them all on.
We don't even talk about those.
WeChat. Well, WeChat.
WeChat, yeah.
You've got to, if you're even contemplating dealing with China, you've got to have a WeChat account.
And a WeChat strategy, because as you're saying, it's a bit like WhatsApp and then LinkedIn at the same time. You can have your communities and your trading, online trading through it and through that community. Which we're now looking at too, obviously.
Yeah, and the Chinese also use it as currency too. You WeChat to pay for things, and you have your WeChat bank account. You just tap and go with WeChat.
Yeah, and we launched something called Daigou Sales a couple of weeks back, and that was the Daigou platform is where Chinese here are buying up products and services and selling it back to China. I mean, a huge marketplace. So there's even platforms being set up where we can access them easily, and we don't even have to have that knowledge of China. So
it's a Daigou is like a personal shopper.
Yeah, that's right.
People back in China. I sat next to when Jack Ma was out here for the big Alibaba launch when they established their head office in Melbourne. I emceed that bunch of it, which he's just a rock star. The head of Alibaba is just amazing. I was sitting next to this bloke who has a family natural cosmetic products, lotions and things like that business. And one of his mates said to him, "Hey, it's great that you're selling into China on Alibaba." And he looked at his mate and went, "No, we're not." And it was a whole bunch of Chinese students going into Chemist's Warehouse, buying his product by the box full and flogging it on Alibaba, Tmall or Tbao. And he went, "Oh, I might as well cut out the student." And now half of his turnover comes out of China.
Yeah, so look at those opportunities because they're huge. And I think it's estimated to go up tenfold in the next 10 months. Yeah.
That was the best advice we got originally. They said, look, don't even try and nail China now. You've got 600,000 in Australia. Target Box Hill and Chatswood for a start. And get the locals using it, taking it back to China. That's a very easy way to do it in Australia. It's low cost, once again, but the sort of, test and spend, and spend. So you haven't got to do a big bite up front.
And that's the beauty of a multicultural society like ours, isn't it? If you want things translated into Mandarin, there are plenty of Mandarin speakers here. We, with my Port Adelaide hat on, we have a Mandarin commentator commentate our game onto Chinese TV. Bloke in Australia. Chinese student living in Adelaide, decided to stay here and live. He's now 25, loves his footy, speaks perfect Mandarin. You don't need to go anywhere. Yeah, exactly right.
And this is where we need to be looking at the new things, isn't it? As business owners, we need to be looking at the next best thing. So here we are talking about salespeople, but actually we could also be talking about sales platforms and new marketplaces. So it's about always looking for the next big thing, and you can do that via some of the platforms we've talked about.
And test. If you think about China, a lot of small business owners go, "Oh, geez, China, how do I do it?" Test it. Put it on an Alibaba platform. You're going business to consumer straight away. You've got a payment system set up through Alibaba because they've got to pay through it. Australia Post has an association with Alibaba, so they ship it to the consumer. It's a great way of just testing to see what happens. And then sort of Emma and Tom, you have your own distributors in China, don't you? In Shanghai. So then you can go, "Oh, well, there could be a market. Maybe I go and look for a distributor."
They're quite correct. And we've also started a relationship a few years ago in Jordan. And it's this one distributor, a family business,
Right.
And we know them really well.
Yeah.
And it's like a family. And they've taken it on board, and we've just now said, well, why don't you just spearhead the entire Middle East?
Yeah.
So they've now gone from Jordan into Dubai, and we'll just sort of get that organised and then find somewhere else to go.
Yeah.
And as Emma would say, it's like pulling a bit of string. You sort of pull the thread and keep following it.
It's a great story. Laura from Queensland, even though it's Small Business Victoria, webcasts go all around the place, so great to have you aboard, Laura. Can someone please explain big data to me? I'm reading about it everywhere, but what does it really mean? Don't forget, send in a question, questions@kbbdigital.com.au.
Well,
big data.
The big data thing. The big data means that we've got so much data and we can capture it and we can analyse it and do stuff with it. Now, if we went back 20 years, as I seem to always be going back to, you could record sales or we could record this or that, but right now we can record movements of people's and conversations and all sorts of bits and pieces, and we can capture it because we've got computers big enough to capture just tons and tons of information. And then you set the artificial intelligence on it to try to pick patterns. I know a really great story in America that's going around at the moment is they've taken a whole lot of people taking a particular drug, and they've captured all these people who have said, here's the side effects I've had, and here's where it's working, and they've got millions and millions of reports, and then they've had millions about another drug, and they've been able to isolate this, and they've been able to do that anyway. But through artificial intelligence and looking at millions of points of data, they've been able to pick up a fact that if you take these two unrelated medications, you've got a higher chance of some side effect which is significant. And it's that sort of analysis that a person can't do, and even a computer can't do it unless you've got millions and millions of pieces of data that that just through, and that's what big data is essentially.
So, can we get access as small business owners to big data?
No, you can't. No. But what's coming, and this is what's really interesting, is what's coming is what's called context brokers, which is effectively places that are accumulating data and then offering you the ability to work off that. Now, however that means is very difficult to actually explain, but if I can show you that there's a pattern of consumer behaviour and say, I'll let you advertise and use my pattern without telling you what it is, and you'll get more people coming to you, then you should pay me some money. And that's a context broker who uses big data to do it. It's a really interesting space, but it's so nebulous at the moment. It's not easy to understand, but it's coming.
So say Emma and Tom, who want healthy juice drinkers, somebody could say, I've got 5 million of these, you can have access to it.
Well, it's more like
Facebook.
Yeah.
Facebook does that.
You can advertise on Facebook, and then you can re-advertise, and it'll calibrate your audience and deliver your advertisement into the screen of people that your first audience know who have similar qualities, and that must be a big data mining process.
Effectively, yeah.
But you pay for it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Similarly, I can get lots of information from the major retailers, but they charge for it.
Yeah.
So we do have access to big data, but through other platforms.
Right,
So LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter. There's customer experience software, the way you can mine the data of your own customers. So as small business owners, we have access to big data through technology platforms like the ones we've discussed for a fee.
Yeah. So can Facebook, can you say, can it, how you list all your hobbies and interests and things like that. So it mines all of that and says, these are all the people that put health and wellness and fitness as one of their priorities on their Facebook profile. Can it go as far to say this band of people have posted a photo showing themselves drinking juices within the last 3 months? Can it go that far?
It's a good question. I think it can because, as you would note yourself, if you use Facebook, if you start researching holidays to the south of France quite remotely, and all of a sudden on your banner on Facebook, you're getting Saint-Tropez popping up. Like, well, that's no coincidence.
No. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
It does sound spooky, but if it can refine and help your sales, well, why not? Sally says, I sell unique pieces of furniture in Melbourne. I'm reluctant to sell online because my product is very much touch and feel based. What are the panel's thoughts on that?
Oh, video is a great one.
Yeah.
If it's unique furniture, We were talking about that the other day.
I can't think of any product that you wouldn't sell online now, no matter how touch and feel it is.
2 words: price tension. The more eyes that see it, the more interest you're going to have. You're going to generate demand.
Yep.
Demand will help your price and your brand.
Actually, we had I know of a business owner who lives down the road from me, and they had all the products up on the website. It was nice, but they got a Google camera operator to come in and take that 360 shot, and you could actually walk through the store. You could just go from place to place, and and then spin around and look here and look there, and that did so much wonders for their business, because that's touch and feel. You're in an antique shop, then you're actually looking and it's about that experience. So.
My sister has a little shop, furniture, based in a Sydney suburb, giftware, but also custom-made big dining room tables and stuff like that. They get local carpenters to build it, and she's sold tables to WA, to Darwin, to Mount Isa, and it was the video, Sharon, that did it. Not only just putting the photo up, but a video, and Lib or Michael, who owned the shop, explaining who made it.
I need a dining table. I'm off.
See, I think they believe dining tables should be the centre of every family. You sit around, and that's where you talk and communicate.
Positioning the emotion.
Absolutely.
Positioning the emotion of that item.
And
Fantastic.
Video is now the preferred medium, because people are, it's more entertaining. They haven't got to read. So it takes much less effort. So video is where everything's going. People are loving, content, video, less words.
So how do you use video?
We don't use video nearly enough. I'm about to commission, once again, go to one of these online trade sites, and I want to get a photographer to do about 10 different banners and some video, because once again, it's all about content.
And we were talking about trends earlier and where we're going with marketing and business. We're going back towards the cave diagrams and pictures and images. So our memes now, and our emojis and our video, we're actually going back. Instagram, we're going back to pictures and much more simple in our approaches. So keeping it simple. The book that we used to talk about is the way to go.
And programs like, I think Budgie Smuggler do a great job with its marketing on Instagram and Facebook, because they get their customers to send in the weirdest places where you wear your Budgie Smugglers. Kayla Ritsinas, the health and fitness professional, biggest in the world. Forbes magazine dubbed her the most powerful health professional in the world, lives in Adelaide, and has 16 million Instagram followers.
There you go, Tom.
But she's very shy. I've met her at the
she's wonderful.
awards thing. She's a lovely sort of underwhelming young girl. She's not sort of boisterous, look at me.
No, and that's her success.
Exactly.
Because her Instagram strategy is all about her followers sharing their achievements and her encouraging them.
And people love tribe.
Oh, yeah,
all
absolutely.
Come in and do this together. You have a partner on your weight loss journey, or whatever it is.
No, it's really interesting. Henry is a Whole Foods retailer. You said last week that Google's algorithm is changing, which is impacting on search rankings. Any predictions on what these changes may be in the future, so I can stay ahead? Good follow-up. Dave, you were talking about this. Good to dig a bit deeper.
I think so. Google's algorithm, it changes every 6 to 8 weeks. That is the formula.
6 to 8 weeks?
Yeah, they just keep rolling it, tweaking it up and down.
So just
every time
when you think you've got it, they go and change it.
But there's some fundamental changes which are definitely coming. They've announced that they're giving more credence, or giving more value to websites that are mobile friendly. No doubt about that whatsoever. So that's important. But the one I think they haven't announced but is definitely coming is they're giving more importance to reviews. Okay, so the reviews you get saying I love the juice or I don't love it, but you don't get those. But they're giving much more, and small businesses is a really important one, because I'm going to predict that they're going to follow the same pathway they did with search engine optimization, that all of a sudden it becomes a thing that you have to have lots of reviews, and if you have lots of reviews, we'll push you up the rankings, And then all of a sudden, everyone jumps in and gets lots of reviews, and then Google will go, okay, well, that's good, but you guys have all just jumped in now. Let's give a lot of value to the ones who are already in place here. So we're telling all of our clients at the moment to go out there and get reviews. Ask your clients to review your business.
Okay, so have a forum on your website that says give your feedback forum.
Anything you can, yeah, very much so.
And there's apps that you can plug into your website too. If somebody purchases, you get an email within about 3 hours that asks you to review your experience. And it only requires you literally click a star, 1 of 5, on that email, not going anywhere else.
Right.
And that then feeds back into the website and it will appear as your review. So you can automate it, and it's not expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, and remember, press coverage and media coverage and online coverage increases your Google rankings. So if you've been in a media broadcast or online or any sorts of media related to your business or otherwise, then what happens when you place that coverage online on your website or on your social media posts, then you're buying into those spheres of influence, and that really helps you get Google ranking.
That is so true. That is so true. One of the fundamentals that Google shifted to about 2 or 3 years ago was to say if we can establish that you are a genuine business, then we're going to push your rankings up higher. This was sort of a fundamental, and how they established it was through just all pieces of data. Like if you have a Yellow Pages listing and it has the same address as a White Page listing and it has the same address as that post on a blog, that tells us that you probably are legitimate. But if they don't have addresses, it's maybe PR in the local paper, that sort of stuff. You know, I can see, and they're just using all of these data points to go, that's a legitimate business, so I'm just going to help them up the rankings. So you know that's really well put.
Okay. As will Campaign for Optimism.
Yes.
There you are.
Everyone should be hashtagging that today.
Campaign for Optimism. Exactly right, that we talked about last week. We've got to make everyone happy. Even consumer confidence figures came out this week. Just terrible. Even though business confidence figures are at a 9.5-year high, consumer confidence is still really, really fragile. Now, that can range from Kim Jong-un, I suppose, all the way through to, you know, that Four Corners thing that the housing market was going to absolutely collapse, which is on Monday night, which is, I think, based on no fact whatsoever. I'm doing a newspaper column on that. But those, don't get spooked. Australia's in a really good space. We're still in the midst of a record-breaking run of economic growth. We're still, the average Australian, the second richest person in the world behind the Swiss. We still have low unemployment and great jobs creation and interest rates at record lows. Come on, be a bit optimistic. Hashtag Campaign for Optimism. I'll get off my hobby horse now. Gina says, last week you spoke about targeting ads based on age, sex and location. It seems like this is really important for small business moving forward. Can you explain this in more detail? Where do I start and what options do I have? Dave?
Me?
I'm glad you...
Dave.
No, well, you could start.
Sharon's got this one.
Well, I feel we need to understand our customer as a business owner. And so what we need to do is actually profile that customer and then go where they are more. So you need to be really clear about, we call it in marketing, your target audience. So when you're asking us, do we target it by age, sex and location, I'd rather ask you to target who your ideal customer is and then go out where they are. And don't be hung up by the three things we mentioned. Get to know your target audience really well, profile that customer, get case studies and testimonials, and then ask them where they hang. Yeah. And where they hang out is where you should be.
Okay. Tom?
I would add to that, yes, don't assume you know who they are.
Right.
So you need to actually do the work and survey. Once again, you can do it online, you can do it via Facebook, via SurveyMonkey, but understand actually who your customer is. So you know where to go and find them. There's no point, for example, advertising mobility aids on Facebook, I would suggest.
Right, okay.
For example.
So what were the surprising things that you found out about your customers? Any surprising things?
Not a lot. I mean, we've had this sort of almost ongoing joke that, you know, if we're stocked in a cafe at the bottom of a bank building, our customers are people who work for the bank.
Right.
If it's near a childcare centre, it's 11 o'clock pram jam and it's all the young mums. So we're fairly broad, but we do know that girls generally look after themselves better than the blokes do.
Yep.
Blokes would be quicker to have a sort of a soda and a dim sim, where the women are more health conscious. They will look after themselves. So we're very much a female skew. Now I think that's also skewed because we do our research on Facebook, and I would suggest there's probably a female skew on Facebook, and probably of that skew they're more willing to answer a survey from us as well.
Right.
So you've got to filter out all of that.
Right.
But similarly, we've just launched this milk product, which is going exceptionally strongly in schools. And we hope that's obviously unisex, and then those children can influence their parents up. So it's a bit sort of going in and the Trojan horse for us.
Right. Okay.
There's good angles here, though. You do have to know your audience. That's true. If you do know it, though, you can target by age, sex, vocation, interests, all sorts of things. And now, how you do that is, well, the simplest ones are Facebook and Google, and they both have platforms which are very simple. You just go there. If you type in Google Display Network or Facebook advertising, you'll find it. Literally, the sex, age groups. One of the ones that people often overlook is targeting by device, and that's very good. You can say just target people on mobile phones only, or just target people on tablets, and that's a really interesting one because we call it the iPad Army, which comes out at about 7 o'clock at night till about 10 p.m. The iPad Army, and they are sort of in that interesting, that holiday zone. They are better than, and even not worrying about the demographic. Targeting at times and targeting on devices. I think the example I often use is the restaurant. If you're a restaurant in a local town, advertise on mobile devices between 4 and 6 p.m. on Friday and Saturday nights, and you just happen to get a few more bookings come through.
Hayley sends in a question. This is a beauty. Tom, if you had to launch Emma and Tom in 2017, being a very different time, how would you do it different?
I would do it.
I think that's a great...
It's an easy one for us, and Emma would have the same response. We would do more ourselves.
Oh, what do you mean by that?
Both Emma and I came from big corporate backgrounds, so we're used to sort of staffing up, that sort of attitude. And to this day, we find if we have a problem, we're the best people to solve it.
Right.
Maybe get some expertise in for a few hours, but don't commit a lot of spend to it. Do more ourselves and get closer to our customers quicker. So we now have 45 vans servicing about 3,000 independent retailers in Australia. So we're very close to them. But it took a couple of massive failures and some problems in the early days to go from our sort of distributor model to our direct distribution model. And that has been the cornerstone of building the brand and doing everything else.
So you first of all had a middle person to do it, organisation, and that disconnected you?
Completely.
Wow.
And no one cares like you do.
Yeah.
As you know well yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's fascinating. All right. Now, I think we've got time for one more quick one. I love Holly, who has a beauty salon. I love technology that makes life easier for small business owners like myself. Tools like Canva and MailChimp are fantastic. What new tools are out there that I could get a lot of value from? That's a good question. Really good question. Because you're busy running your own business rather than trying to find out the latest tools.
I'll tell you my favourite tool at the moment, which probably doesn't help you, Holly, but...
Me? No. No. That was a gag.
My favourite tool is a new platform, a new technology called Viewed It, as in viewed, I saw it, viewed it. And it's a video recording technology. There's nothing crazy about this, but it lets you create a video, piece to camera, you can show the screen at the same time, and then you can just hit the button and you're emailing it to a friend straight away. Now, we use this when we're talking to, if I want to talk to my graphic designer and they're not in the office, I can pick up the phone and interrupt him, or I can send an email, but it takes me about half an hour to try to get out what I'm trying to say about the design. The intonation just doesn't come through. So I just record a video with the picture on the screen and say, look, this is what I'm trying to achieve. It's not quite, if you need to call me, but that's what we're doing. And then I hit send. And what we used to do a year ago was we'd do that video, but then we'd upload it to YouTube and it would take 40 minutes. And then, and that is just instant out the door. And it's brilliant because anyone can read it, watch it at any time. And the bit I like is I get a report back saying, Joe has watched your video, and they stop watching it at the 45% mark. And I go, oh, did they now? Did they now? Right.
Great
technology. Yeah.
Good one. I use Receipt Bank. religiously now.
Yeah.
I think that's been the best thing for me, for tax.
I actually did some
Even
work this
privately.
year with Hair Care Australia and spoke to a lot of people who worked in brand saloons, and I'd say two things came out of that. One is, once again, personal brand. You become desirable. It's competitive.
Yeah.
Be the one known to be the top of your game. And secondly, simple things like just MMS reminders. Knock out your 10% no-shows.
Such a good,
Bang.
good tip.
Yeah.
For nothing,
Great
what,
tip.
15 cents?
That's a really good tip.
Yeah, fantastic. And look, the oldies are the goodies, and right the way through to SMS reminders so that you fill that book,
Yeah.
that appointment book, which is where a lot of the loss comes from, no shows, all the way back to asking for referrals, giving birthday gifts, local paper coverage, personal branding, and making sure that the in-salon experience is the best it can possibly be.
Yep.
We're really changing that now. I've worked with quite a lot of beauticians and hairdressers who are changing the whole experience, so it's an event to go there.
And remember, you're the only business that has a customer sitting in a chair for 45 minutes going nowhere as they get their foils, apparently. It doesn't apply to me. Quiz them. Put all the details in there. Kids' birthdays. It is a great way to build a customer profile. All right, that's all we have time for. Thank you, gang, for being part of it. Dave Chaffey, Sharon Williams and Tom Griffith, and also to you for joining us for today's discussion on the future of digital marketing. I'm David Kochie. I'll see you next time. Hopefully you have a great couple of months as we lead up into Christmas.